It's now time to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world. Ayo, please, you will help us do the honors.
Thank you, Dr. Bati. Let's go on to the newspapers this morning. The first one, the newspaper of repute in the Great Malabites.
Of record.
Of record. It's the R and the E. Record, repute, credible. This day newspaper. At the front page here, NNPC, how we raised crude oil production from 900,000 MPD to 1.6 MPD. Clarify 70% illegal refineries deactivated. Reveals Nigeria was losing 21 million barrels monthly. That's $1.9 billion before recovery. Says Nigerians will be shocked to know those behind oil theft when exposed. Declares suspected oil thefts undergoing prosecution. Blames current fuel scarcity on distribution hiccups. I think I must mention here that based on the last comment, one of the things that Mr. Balawunti assured us yesterday was that by this weekend we should see an end to the queues on our roads, speaking to other issues. Then on top of that, we have on the United Kingdom, we have no preferred presidential candidates in Nigeria. AOC chieftain donates 70 cars to support Tinubu Shetima campaign. And then on top of that, fallout of Naira redesign, analysts back CBN's cash withdrawal policy. We'll move on to our next paper here, the Guardian newspaper. Agents in uproar as Senate debates new policy Tuesday. They want us out of business, mobile money agents lament. Policy good, but implementation will be difficult, BCAN says. And then Hurira, cash withdrawal limits can't help Naira depreciation, will lead to job loss. So a few analysts there, some for, some against, speaking to the new CBN policy on cash withdrawals. Facebook prepares for Nigeria's elections, tightens news on misinformation. U.S. explains exclusion of 5 African leaders from summit. Global partners may end broad COVID-19 vaccination efforts in Nigeria. Others, and Kaduna records over 300 cases of GBV under El Rufai, says Commissioner. All right, move on to the next paper here. The Punch is the paper. Senate grills CBN chiefs tomorrow. Still on the withdrawal policy by the CBN, POS operators get waiver to pay processing fee. Central Bank deputy governors to face National Assembly panel. Senate debates policy next week. And the CBN is saying no going back on new cashless policy. Allays fears of rural dwellers, others. And then we have also that the EFCC auctions forfeited cars wants compliance with guidelines. We have all at the top of the paper, oil marketers fault NNPCL 34 days sufficiency claim. Jonathan, former President Goodluck Jonathan, saying contesting presidency again will diminish me. So he's saying he has no thoughts, aspirations, or hopes of going back to Aso Rock. N-Power fraud, ICPC detains the band. Lawyer cries foul, and Buhari failed Leah Sheribu, says activist. We move on to the Vanguard newspaper. On floods, governors should account for ecological fund, says federal government plays its part. That's a minister. Government must fulfill their obligations, adds Environment Ministry generated paid 8.7 billion into the Treasury single account. Nigeria to benefit from climate fund with actual plan put in place, Ogoni cleanup in process. Also, just beneath that on the Vanguard, we have 1.9 trillion naira service-wide vote. Senate threatens 100 MDAs with zero budget allocation. Moving on to the New Telegraph newspaper, we have here that federal government recovers 120 billion naira from corrupt Nigerians. Says UNEP reports implementation on Ogoni land on course. ICPC, again going to the ICPC, detaining the band over alleged N-Power fraud. Federal government debunks allegations, assures beneficiaries of commitment. Also, we have Senate expresses concern over CBN's cash withdrawal limits. Federal government set to revive non-operational tanneries to boost production investment. And then we have just at the top report, 67% IT firms finalize plans to leave Nigeria on the JAPA issue. Now we have not just individuals, but firms and organizations. Moving on to the Nation newspaper. Federal government to governors account for ecological fund, says the federal government. Cash withdrawal limits policy. Senators experts knock CBN. 2023 court validates Tinubu's candidacy. Petrol scarcity to end soon, says agency. Whilst 1.9 trillion naira SWV, Senate threatens MDAs with zero allocation. Finally, from the Tribune newspaper, Nigerian Tribune, we have Senate expresses worry, set to debate policy. So the cash withdrawal policy by the CBN has dominated most of the newspaper front stories. And then Tinubu's wife says Muslim ticket to set new tone in Nigeria's political landscape come 2023. And side by side, Atiku saying, unlike APC, PDP will not fail Osun, pledges constitutional role for traditional rulers. Labour governorship candidate joins PDP. ICPC arrests the band over alleged diversion of N-Power funds. 25 held in Germany over suspected coup plot on the international scene. And EFCC auctions 435 forfeited cars in Lagos.
I mean, I'll just take some stories real quickly, but this one that really pops in my eyes, the New Telegraph, it says 67% of IT firms finalize plan to leave Nigeria. It's quite very sad that despite the attempts we made by the federal government to bolster the ICT sector, that the Nigerian factor, underline the word, the Nigerian factor is really affecting them. And it's incumbent on the federal government to look deeply on how they can support IT firms. Because if you do it well, they can actually be a cash cow for this economy. Their skills can be brought here if you make the environment more conducive. But what are the things they face? The normal Nigerian problems. No diesel, multiple taxation issues, and other things like that. And these things stifle innovation and growth. And when they start to take those monies somewhere else, then you look and you ask, what is left for us? Because that sector has the capacity to be able to employ millions of people. So some ideas I'd like to throw around. Number one, now we have a startup bill. The startup bill talks about a forum where people can, players in the industry and the government can meet. Have those meetings frequently to be able to talk about the challenges being faced. Look for ways to buffer, probably through taxation, allow some companies stand on their feet and all of that, but also give them targets for employment. Set up a skill training ecosystem. I don't know why we cannot have tech hubs spread around 774 local government areas of the country to be able to get new talents and skill. Also bolster the pre-existing hubs. Also, integrate them into various sectors that can run the economy. I still feel very sad sometimes that with the tech knowledge and tech prowess we have, some of our contracts, software contracts, are still being given to international companies. When you can call Nigerian companies in there and have hackathons for them and things like that. But I'm happy. I saw one happen the other day, the CBN. But we can bolster that. Try as much as possible, even in the military, to allow our tech stay within. And kudos to DICOM that have been doing that, but can we improve upon that? And when you do all of this, let these companies breathe. Because it is when they breathe and they make revenue that they can truly pay back in taxes and the likes. I heard a very unsavory case recently about a prominent Nigerian tech company that closed a deal of over $200 million. The first thing, all of a sudden, the taxmen started calling them up.
Okay.
And the question is, what have you invested in them prior to this time?
Let's take one or two foreign stories. If you look at some of the papers, some of the foreign papers today, particularly Financial Times, is reporting purge forward, plotters held in Germany. I mean, I thought that was something surprising. You only hear of people planning coups in Africa, particularly in West Africa in recent times. But in Germany, 35 persons were arrested yesterday, including an aristocrat called Heinrich the 13th, and other members of citizens of the Reich. Citizens of the Reich, these are persons who have refused to, recognize post-war Germany governments. And they claim, that, their own extreme far-right views are more important. But now they made an attempt to attack, they had plans to attack, the Bundestag, and they were arrested yesterday. Then, of course, also on that Financial Times, you have zero COVID control loosened as evidence mounts of damage to trade. We already took that. Then, of course, in some of the other papers, in Times of London, for example, we have Christmas flights hit by airport walkouts. Airport workers, border force staff, about 10,000 of them or so, they're saying they're going to go on strike December 21, December 26, December 28, and flights, will be affected across the UK. Meanwhile, Daily Telegraph tells us that the army is planning to, protesting against the attempt by government to drafting soldiers to, man the ambulances, to do paramedic work and take over security at the airports. And senior military officers are saying, no, this could affect the operational capability, of the British Army. But the truth, of course, is that the concern is about how this is going to be a winter of strikes and a Christmas of strikes in the United Kingdom. Even if the Prime Minister is saying it's going to get tough because the people who want to stay the workouts are, in his view, unreasonable, and that tougher sanctions, tougher laws will be introduced. But we'll see. If he has not done so now, with the support of Parliament, when are those tougher laws going to be on the table?